So when you hear the expression, God, I wonder what these streets would say if they could talk, Sarasota Street Talk is making the streets talk, and we're recording what they're saying. So that, to me, that is what Sarasota Street Talk is all about.
Sarasota Street Talk is to introduce people of the surroundings.
We're literally right now, we're downtown Sarasota, and we hear people all around us telling different stories. Those are the streets talking.
Been doing just audio until you got hurt.
All right, so here we are. So we are now live with the one and only Twinkle.
Hi.
All right, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I was a little worried that she was going to park over on State Street, and then all her fans would be stopping her, and we wouldn't see her till like noon. It'd be like noon, and Twinkle, where are you?
We didn't want to make it too public as to like where to park, because then we'd be telling everybody where to come get you, and all of a sudden we'd be like 145.
My brother's always on me because I change in the car like for 40 years. I've been changing in the car. He's like, you can't just go out in the parking lot and change your clothes in the middle of the night.
Well, I just
do what you got to do.
I just did that this morning. After
we set up, he gets all sweaty.
Yeah, because I come out here, we set this up, takes like an hour and a half to set all this up, and I'm all sweaty, got to go back and change, And
I'm very adept at changing. And when I start to smell myself is as soon as I start changing my clothes. So people are like, you changed your outfit. Yep.
Well,
just like that.
You need to be like me. He gets here at like 7 and starts setting up. I show up at 9.
It's like,
he's all
hey, Mark,
soaked.
you good to go? We good to go?
Ready?
Yes, Scott, we're fine.
And I just say, because you're such
welcome.
a control freak, I think I should just stay out of the way.
And actually, get it.
Good. That's good.
Or I was at Twinkle show last night, and I was out a little late.
Yeah, well, it is kind of true, though, because you know how you have your way of doing something?
Yes.
And so I appreciate the help every single time. It's like, this has to go there, and this has to go there. And so, you know what? We digress, though.
Yes. So
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Cool.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You've been on my list.
That's really nice.
For a while.
I have had to listen to this man. I'm
It's
just
kinda
joking.
true.
I'm totally joking. But what's ironic, though, is so you play Motorworks quite a bit, right? And so I got married 8 months ago. Right. Thank you very much.
We have a song about that. It's called "The Rest of Your Life."
We accosted you. We accosted you in the bar and got a bunch of pictures.
I remember.
Yeah. So we did not know you were playing. We didn't know you were playing that night, and we had a DJ. He was going to do it for like an hour and just bump, and it was fine. And then we learned you were playing, and then so right after he got off the stage, we were kind of like, by that point we were kind of like, all right, get off, Derek, get off. And then you started and you just rocked the house.
Thanks.
And like for the next 3 hours, we were just there.
That's awesome.
Having a fantastic time and just, shots and just having a good time at our wedding. And you facilitated that. Thank you for that.
That was that night. I remember that. Yes.
Yeah. That's when I did that silly dance. I did that little. Well, you're probably setting up. You were setting up, but I went and I trained for like 4 months to do one little dance for the wedding.
That's so cute.
It was funny, but anyway.
I love it.
And actually, that was a little side story. If you remember, one of our friends, Terry with a Y, decided he wanted to do a speech, and it's like 6:30, and he's talking to all the people, asking little tidbits about Mark.
Yep.
Give me a little something. Give me a little something. He gets up there at like 10 to 7. These guys are ready to go on.
Oh, I'm trying to think of how this ties into Twinkle, but
I remember that.
So Terry's up there talking, and now the band kind of looks over, and I think they were a little unhappy.
A little unhappy. No, we don't care.
So they go off. They go off the stage, and I'm like, oh no, and I'm like, I'm gonna go talk to them, and they were so nice.
Yeah,
they're like,
great.
no problem. We don't care.
We really don't. No, it's great.
We're here till 11 either way. So
look who we have. Let's see, look who we have behind us.
Oh, that picture.
Look at that.
Look at that.
And we got a couple. We got a couple of them out here. So we did a little bit of research. We're such huge fans.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
If you would please, and I know a lot of people know about you, and there's some though that don't. So could you please maybe tell a little bit about your history and about who you are and where you play and kind of some of your experiences, and also like what's a great story that you can talk about.
That's on one of my list.
You got some stories.
There's a lot.
I have a whole list.
We're in an interesting place for the beginning of this because I was born at Memorial Hospital. I was conceived here. Like my family, it's generational, right? And growing up in this town back when I was a kid, it was the funkiest, coolest. There was just art everywhere. like now, except super like just chill. It was a very, very cool place to grow up. I love Sarasota. And I was surrounded by live music. And my family is very artistic. My mother and my dad. And my dad and my uncle were the first employees of the Allman Brothers band. And so, like, there's just...
There you go.
Where's the first name drop?
Yeah. My mother's father is Charles Peterson. He was a jazz guitarist for Rudy Valley and then a photographer in the swing era in Harlem. There's a book of his photographs. It's just, you just have all this. So art was very important. My grandfather has a saying, art is not important, it's the most important. And that's infused in the culture of the family. So they gave me a piano when I was 6. And I just started writing really early. I love writing. I was always driven to do that. And I started at the schools I went to. I've gone to every school in this county. Started at Out of Door, went to Booker. My mom started teaching at Booker. They started an orchestra when we were in 3rd grade, and that grew into the VPA that it is now. And then I went to Pineview. I went back to Booker. I went to Riverview High School because I met a cute guy at the beach that went to Riverview. And then
so you changed schools?
I changed school. I convinced my mom it was for...
School of choice. You got to love that in Florida, right? Because that's not the way it is in Illinois.
Well, she had to sign papers, so I was like, it's academically, superior. And then I did the same thing to go to Sarasota High School, and then I graduated. But I was already in 10th grade working as a musician in an original band and just started playing. I mean, I had to be on stage. When I was really young, they'd let me go into St. Armand's at the patio. There was a band there all the time, Omni. And these guys, the doorman would let me in. I think it was Raphael. And he'd always say, did you bring...
Raphael from Classico?
From Classico.
Did you bring your identification? And I was like, he'd say, well, go sing a song. So there was a lot of support. And it was just a really formative place for me, this place.
And your mom was, do not find a guy from Orlando because you're not going to high school there. We're cutting it off. It's either Riverview or Sarasota.
Right.
That's
exactly.
It, right?
Exactly. I used to ride my bike all over this town. I know every nook and cranny of this town on my bicycle. It was amazing. Sometimes in traffic, you'd be able to get there faster.
So after high school, then where'd you go?
So as soon as I was out of high school, I graduated in 11th grade, and I was working already as a musician, so I ended up on my first tour around the country in a pop band. And that's not my thing, but it was a good job, and you get a lot of experience when you're young on tour. It's just really, we did all the hotels all throughout the country, touring constantly. Didn't see home for years. I used to talk to my dog, Arthur, on the phone, and Mom said he'd go get his ball. I'd be like, Artie, it was so great, golden retriever. And
that's how you got to do it, though, too, right? To just start off and just jump in at both feet. Right.
If they were driven, like a lot of people, I see a lot of young, talented people, and their families are very supportive, or stage mom type thing. And I'm like, this is not a life for somebody that just doesn't have to do it. My brother calls it can play, have to play. We're the have to play people. Some people are good and they're good at it and they want to do it, and if it doesn't make it, then they go get their contractor's license or whatever. Right. We're not those kind of people.
You have to be out on stage.
We're lifers.
Yep.
I have to write. I have to sing. That's what I'm made for, is live performance. And once I was signed to Warner Brothers, I was trying to convince them to put me on tour. And they kept saying, you have to have a top 40 hit to go on tour. And I was like, no, I think it'll be the other way around. Like, get me in front of people. That's what I'm best at. Right. But we did that album, and now it was like 89. So 91, they sent me to Montreux Jazz Festival. And it was awesome because I got the only review the next day in the French paper. And something about hair like uncooked spaghetti and barefoot girl from Florida. And he won the hearts of the 3,000 spectators. It was just an amazing thing, and I thought that was it. You're going to put me on tour now, because that's how it... But it never happened, and I just went from situation to situation, always coming back to Florida and gigging, and that's what my life is playing every week to people. That's just what I'm made for, and I love it. And so this band, we've created this like organic thing, and we have a new album out, which is in my purse.
Oh, please.
Yes.
Please let us see that. So how long has this band been together in its current group? Like how long?
I think it's going on 15 years. I'm not sure anymore.
Right. Oh, I saw that on Facebook. I saw that your post.
I think it's 13 years, maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
But this is an amazing record. And the way this happened was really interesting is Bobby Croft, this man comes up to me at a show about a decade ago, and he says, I have to tell you a story. My name is Bobby Croft, and when you were a kid and your mom brought you into a Greg Allman show to sing, I was the bass player. And 10 years later, Warner Brothers signs you, and I'm already producing records for Warner Brothers. And I said, let me produce her record, because I'll put her opening up for the Allman Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't do that. They went with a different producer, Pat Leonard, who's wonderful, and I love him. But it was just so interesting to hear this, because it's like an alternate universe, you know,
right.
an alternate path. But we became friends, and he said, I want to produce the next record. So he's produced this at his studio in Mount Dora, and it's an incredible piece of work. So
awesome.
I look forward to your
Yeah.
extremely positive review.
Oh, no, it most definitely. There's no question it would be extremely
And
positive.
Did we see that?
It's badass.
Did we
The
get
lyrics
that on
are
camera?
inside.
Freaks and weirdos. I love this.
Did we get that on camera?
What's it? Oh, no,
Did
no,
you get
yeah.
that on
Oh,
there?
of course.
Okay,
Well, we're
get
going
that on
to...
there.
And vinyl is coming. It's on its
right
way.
there.
I need that one.
Yeah.
I will.
Right there,
I will
everybody.
purchase one, and you can sign it for me.
Okay.
All right.
I'll
All
purchase
right.
as well. And you said you got it coming on vinyl
Yes.
as well?
Yes.
Yes.
I will. I will.
God bless. I
It
kept
was
my record
actually-
player.
You let me know.
So
I will.
glad.
I will be. I want to buy one of the first ones, and I want it autographed.
All right, you got it.
Could I get the second
To
one?
Scott. Yeah, I don't care what.
I
you-
only
got
brought
it?
one.
You
Of course, you
what I
can
did.
get the
Buy
second
that
one.
one.
Yes,
Yeah.
you can get the second one. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
And
You know what?
it was
Perfect.
recorded and mixed for vinyl. So there's 9 songs on there, because if you create a vinyl album, you can only put so much music on it or you start to lose fidelity. So there's only a certain amount of time you can have.
Right.
And I learned a lot about mixing. I co-produced with him. He had me in there, assistant. I would call myself an assistant. He said co-producer, but he's an amazing dude. He's incredibly talented musician himself, and he's a gigging musician, so he's working all the time too, which is, you got to have that perspective.
And obviously, this is one of the reasons why I respect you so much too, is that you've got obviously original work, right? So this is all original,
Right.
but then we have
Her covers.
Remember-
She covered. So when I
remember a little thing like this. Remember that back in the day?
Where is that dress?
I don't know where
That's
that's from.
dress.
That
When is that from? Do you know?
yes, I do. Scott, thank you for
Is
asking.
that from the day of the wedding?
Huh?
Oh.
Well,
no.
look at it, Scott. Oh, can you see it or no? No, that's
I can't see that, but I can see it
yeah,
behind me.
no, that's
What- oh.
Siesta Key Beach.
Okay.
Oh.
That's back in 18.
Oh, wow. I remember that.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
back. It's back in 18. It's doing the Guns N' Roses.
Was that the seafood festival? At the beach?
It's Siesta Key Beach.
Yep.
This is Sweet Child of Mine.
Yep. And you know
And
what I
you
love
killed
about
it.
that day? Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Is I grew up here. That's the first time anybody put music at the beach. And I was blown away, because I was like, why has this never happened before?
Right.
But that's a promoter that moved down from New York, Bill Kinney, and he started doing festivals around here, and he got them to let him do that. That's like excellent.
So obviously, we know you from, and we also did some research as well, just to get more
Ask me
information.
questions.
And yeah, well, Scott,
Well,
you
No.
well,
one more
this-
comment though. After the wedding, when they were on, what got me, it's on this phone somewhere, is "Piece of My Heart," and then you went into a Zeppelin song, I think. And I was like, man, this girl's got it. Yeah, I was totally impressed with that.
But,
Thank
the
you.
reviews and
So-
everything that I saw too, are amazing reviews. Like
Oh, everybody.
voice like
Oh, that.
like heaven. And just
I have that on my
nice.
phone. By the
Actually,
way, I'm
yeah,
going to look it up in a
you
minute.
look it up and
I'm
like
gonna
read
look
it.
it up in a
Send 'em
minute,
to
but I
me.
have some questions. Question. So, and this is not. I have some written down, but one that I thought of on the way here, as I was driving, a song by the Smiths came on, and I thought, I wonder who the quirkiest, we'll call him quirky, crazy
Right?
artist that you know. Like, you can tell a story, or you can just say this guy's just out there. And I saw your post about Robbie Robertson. I want to mention that too, but
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
talk. But I just thought of that question because Morrissey is known to just not show up to concerts.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, that guy's nuts, right? So I was like, I
You
wonder
know-
who she knows, who she could say.
I guess the quirkiest would be Dickie Betts, but
Okay.
because you just don't. He's so dynamic and so brilliant, and when we were touring, we would have the most incredible conversations about universe and spirituality and just music and Indian culture. And the guy is super smart, and he thinks this big picture. He's so cool and so connected, and I don't think people would ever know that from just seeing him play. What I loved about touring with Dickie was you're playing to all these great theaters across the country, and Erie, Pennsylvania, where it's an ocean of people, at the festival, and everybody loves the Allman Brothers. Everybody knows that, right? But I would see a lot of times people go, "Oh, that guy," because he starts playing the songs. He wrote all those licks and all that stuff. That's him. And the faces would be like, "Oh," and it was so neat to see that, you know. And he's got this reputation for being whatever, but he's just an amazing person. And I think he's one of the most talked about people, even though he's listed in the top greatest guitarist. Intelligent,
and when I talk to people,
person.
when I talk to people like back home or even around here, and I'm like, Dickie Betts is local, right?
Yes.
And they're like, "Who's Dickie Betts?" They're like, "Who's Dickie Betts?" I go, "Well, he started the Allman Brothers." "Oh, well, we know who they are, right?"
Yeah.
But they don't know Dickie Betts.
Because everybody knows Greg Allman, because of course the name. And I've been guilty of that myself. I never read album credits unless they were cute when I was a kid. But my brother knows every musician that played on every album and who they joined and rejoined and who, and the rock and roll world is a lot of this crossover stuff. People would go join this band and left that band. But Dickie, he wrote so much of the heartfelt, of the Allman Brothers connection that people hear. That's him. And he's just blows me away with that. And that he's right here, and he was my dad's best friend.
That's
and,
cool.
It's crazy. But I've met a lot of superstars. I guess Steven Tyler would be the most, quirky.
Okay.
But he's super nice and very genuine feeling when you're talking to him. And I met, when I was going to mix the album, I met Julian Lennon.
Oh, wow. Okay,
there's a name.
I go in, and Pat Leonard had produced his record, so I walk in and they're talking. And it was in the beginning when Pat and I we didn't know each other that well. But he says, "Come on in." And I go in and I sit, and I'm in a room with 2 couches, and there's Julian Lennon, and I'm listening to him talk, and he sounds exactly like his father, and it's bizarre, and he looks like his dad. And I geek out. I'm really a geek when it comes to that, and I'm like,
you want to be all cool.
I was afraid. I thought we were going to be like that today with you coming on. Really,
I kind of am still. I kind of am a little.
I would love to be cool. I would love to be just all chill, relaxed. But I get around these people and I'm just like, and I said, can I just say it's really great to be in the same room with you? Like, it's just so weird because you're hearing this. Yeah. It's spooky.
And you probably got this great line that's going to come out of your head or something.
Oh, sure.
But it comes out. You'll be like, hey, this is what it's supposed to be like. Hey, how you doing? I like your stuff, and I really respect your album and your music. And this is how it comes out.
Nope.
I like you. I like you a lot.
You're straight up anchor man. I want to be on you. Yeah. Will Ferrell. Yeah. I want to be on you.
His favorite guy, by the way. Will Ferrell's his favorite guy.
Oh, Anchorman came on the other day, and it doesn't matter where you start that movie. Any of his movies, they're just treasures. They're little pockets of joy. I love him.
All right, so the next question, because I have a bunch written down, and the ones that aren't written down I have to ask first. Okay. While they're on my mind. So your post after Robbie Robertson died. I'm a big fan of the band, obviously. Tell us about the post, because I read the post, but if somebody didn't read the post, you walk in and there's a couple famous people, I guess. Right?
Okay, so I'll preface this. So I make a demo of my songs with help, and it gets shopped to various labels. I get signed to Warner Brothers, which was a big wood, beautiful building. People are in their jeans. There's rock and roll posters all over. It's a very organic feeling. They were all about music right before the Time Warner merger and everything changed in the industry. But right at that moment, I'm like the last person to get a giant record deal. Those things don't exist, right? But at that moment, Warner was #1 for artist development. So their idea was we sign an artist and we know that we're not going to make any money for the first 4 records. And then it'll pay off. And that's artist development. They'll invest, right? So that's the kind of deal I had. And they put me with Pat Leonard, who I loved and adore. And he's a big-time, huge producer who comes off from the Jacksons and, Madonna and stuff like that. But he's a super, just incredible musician. So he's coming from this musical thing, and he would add some legitimacy to like Madonna, right, who was a pop thing. And he brought in music. He wrote Like a Prayer and things like that. So he's just an incredible musician, incredibly funny, super intellectual. And everybody in that studio was sort of drawn to him. So he was producing, Julian Lennon, and he had a band, Toy Matinee, that he put together with this genius Kevin Gilbert, who's now deceased. But just and there's Toto. So he calls Toto. That's the band on my first record, right? So I'm in there with Steve.
It's amazing. It's
so
amazing.
Cool.
Yeah,
it's so cool. And
I'm in there with Lukather.
what I found on you, because I don't know if you saw the Facebook post saying that you were going to be on.
I couldn't find it.
I took a bunch of stuff out, so it wasn't so long.
All right.
I don't want keep going the story though. I'll get back to that.
Okay, so
because I have it written down.
I'm
I can
only
read
telling
it,
you
so
all
yes.
that because like I'm having
I asked
conversations
about Robbie Robertson
with Steve Lukather, and there's just Vinnie Colaiuta, like all these names, John Pattitucci, and musicians that are just stellar in their own right, and they're working at coming and playing on this record. So one day I walk in. And we're now to the mixing point. This album took about a year on and off to make because I would have to fly out and stay with my family. I had a toddler, Ursula, and my husband, Brian, and we go out there, and I'm 25 years old. So I'm 25, leaving the clubs of Sarasota and thrown into this massive situation, and my brain is exploding. And all I want to do is make music, and you look back as an adult, and you're like, I could have handled things better, but whatever. So I walk in, and I had just listened to the Robbie Robertson solo album for a year straight. I thought it was wonderful, and it fed me it was like that with OK Computer and a Miles Davis record and John Coltrane. Those are the only albums I've ever just couldn't get enough of. And I walk in, and there he is leaning against and you're just going, what? And there's Rod Stewart sitting on the couch with his beautiful, that model wife he married that's so gorgeous.
So that's what the post said. It said, after Robbie Robertson died, she said, I met him Rod Stewart at the same time.
And again, geeking out. And the reason they were there is because Rod Stewart was covering one of the songs from Robbie Robertson's record, and he wanted to be present, and Pat was producing it. So I'm just looking at Robbie, and he's this really confident, beautiful dude who's given so much to the musical community, and I just don't know how to act around people like that. I'm just a geek times a million. And I'm like, do you ever get tired of people telling you how great you are? That's all I could say, because I don't want to go, I really love you and I respect you, but I just don't know what to say. But I want to let them know that, oh my God, right? And there's Rod Stewart, and he was very gentlemanly, and they were very charming, and everybody was charming. And then they had me sing on the song because I was there.
So we can say the same thing. We can ask you that same question. Aren't you tired of everybody telling you how wonderful you are? And
that's
nice.
But
it is.
Oh,
but it
happens,
is. Literally, she is like an icon here, and like people, I just see you at the shows, and like I said, I accosted you inside the bar coming out of the bathroom at the Motorworks. Oh, can we get a picture?
You may want to use a different word.
I love it.
Can we get a picture? I'm like, can I get a...
Molested.
Yeah, well, that sounds worse than accosted. But I'm like, can I get a picture with you? And you're like, of course. You're so sweet and so accommodating. And then all of a sudden, all the pictures have like 7 of our friends all jammed in.
I'm
like, wait a minute. I wanted a picture with her. Not
Look,
you guys,
I live for that. I live for this. The weird, my mom calls me an introvert extrovert, because at home I don't want to answer the phone. I talk to the chickens and the cats, and that's it, and my grandchildren. But at work, I love people.
But you're also probably out so much too. Like you're out.
It's a perfect balance.
Yeah, you're giving so much of yourself and
you go home
singing and all that. You just want to be by yourself when you go home.
My mom called it husband your energy. So you go home and you feed yourself again, and then you go out and, because to me, what I love is the community of people, that music lovers and the bands and the musicians, and everybody's sort of in this together. Like if we're giving it and they're not into it, not giving it back, it's draining. But if everybody's into it and we're all, it just goes, it's a magical, tangible thing. And to me, it's magic, really,
Okay, I have a question.
Okay.
I have a question. Okay, so in the music...
Because I'll just ramble.
No. We're not cutting you from rambling.
I have some up here and some in here.
Okay.
No, please.
Okay.
So in the music writing process, so I know everyone has a different way of doing stuff. I guess either the tune comes first, and then the music follows, or the riff comes, and then you match the tune.
The words.
How does it work for you?
Okay, so one year I went a whole year playing and just writing stuff on stage. Because I had just left my Miles Davis, John Coltrane phase, and I saw an interview with the cats that worked for Miles, and they're like, man, if Miles caught us running licks backstage, he'd dock our pay. You had to come up with that right now. And so I did this for a year, and it was amazing because you realize that once you open that window and you start to trust that something good's going to happen. And I've been writing since I was a little kid, and I understood that, and I taped everything. I just taped everything, and I'd mess around until something happens. And then the older you get, and the more you do that, the more you trust it, and the more you can just go there right now.
Yeah.
And so when I'm writing a song, like right now, if I'd be like, oh, no, bottom starting, ball up and bed and I, oh, bottom, no, you know, I just go into something, and I would just get a melody, taping that, and then listen back and keep doing it, and then words will start to happen. One time I was making a record with Pat Leonard in Caribou Ranch, which is above Boulder. And I was doing that. That's how I've been writing for a long time. And he was into that. And he says, okay, we had the music we were working on. He says, okay, take this home tonight to the next cabin over. It was wintertime. Mm-hmm. And it was a really beautiful place. And there are all these hundreds old log cabins. And I went over there and I just kept listening and singing and taping. And he's like, and then when you're done, 3 times, write down everything that sounds like a word. And I did, and I'm telling you, it was so spooky because the next day I go in and it was a whole story, and it's called, what's it called? Someday. It's called Someday. We'll follow. It's really, I can't sing this early, but it's a spooky ghost song of a grandmother talking to her granddaughter and telling her the story of her life and that her husband had died in the cavalry and like all this stuff. And she dreams every night that she saved all the boys, but in the end they blew up. And it was like, and we're all sitting in the studio going, what? And what I think, my theory is that if you're creative and you're in touch with that, it's not like you're doing it all the time. Sometimes you're tapping into something bigger, like the Akashic record, or I don't know. But if you can tap in, it feels bigger than just you. It's not like I can go, I'm just amazing at this, and I'm just going to be really super great. Although I do have confidence that I'm a great songwriter, and I love that. But a lot of it is learning to just let go, man, and let it happen. Let it come out. I read an article about if you think you're bad at math. It was by this mathematician. He said, catch a ball. Have somebody throw you a ball and catch it. He said that just sheer astronomical things that your brain is doing to even know the trajectory, the wind, whatever, where that's going to be for your hand to be where the ball lands is astronomical. Mm-hmm. And I thought, man, that's the same with songwriting. It's like, let your brain and do it and see what happens.
Yep. Okay, another question. Well, it's again, it's only up here. It's not on here. So,
no.
So, like I said, Janis Joplin killed it. I'm like, so at my house, the TV's only on as background noise, and it's on YouTube. Music, flipping around. And a song came on, and I thought of you. And I'm like, I wonder if she does it.
What?
White Rabbit.
I have done
this
that.
Is something I could see, maybe.
We did. I co-host a jam at Madeira Beach Dock Shack every Sunday for now 12 years.
Okay.
And it's pretty amazing. It's a rock jam. So there's a full stage, full sound man, everything. And we're all from different bands, and we come together and play a set, and then we bring people up. And sometimes people want to do that song, and so I have sung it there. And I'm like, it's a cool song to sing because it's got this build-up, So yeah, it's cool.
I thought of you. That's it.
I didn't grow up on girls, I grew up on Bad Company and Foreigner, but I grew up in an amazing time.
Foreigner 4.
I had Freddie Mercury and Lou Gramm, but my hero is Paul Rodgers, who I got to sing with, and I still cry when I see that video. But
Hotel California.
Meeting Bad Company.
No, I'm not just thinking.
No,
I was spacing out.
Thinking of songs.
I was thinking of songs.
When you walk in and see,
my ADD.
Like if you listen to an album your whole childhood and you're totally into that person, and then you meet them and they smile at you and know your name, your little kid inside's going, what? Like you want a time machine and go, oh my God, you won't believe what's going to happen. And he let me sing Little Wing with him, and this is a voice that I fashioned my voice after. Like I wanted to sing like Paul Rodgers, who is still out there killing it. They call him the voice of the planet. Like,
that's crazy.
So I got a question now. So, now this is probably just a hard question to ask you. But like, if you can take a memory, something that's stuck with you the most, probably through your musical career, either with somebody or an experience or a show or something. Is there something you can put your finger on as far as?
There's a bunch.
Well, yes, that's what's kind of hard. As it's coming out my mouth, I'm like, probably it's
good
very
or
hard.
Bad.
Good, positive.
Positive.
Yeah, something positive that you would.
All right. The Aerosmith story is
okay,
pretty...
so that kind of comes into that. I was going to say, how was that?
It's never happened before. It'll never happen again. I mean, I'm the only person that's ever opened up for Aerosmith by herself. So I'm driving. I had a friend, Noelle, and her brother is Jim Service, who was my friend also.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the guitar tech for Kiss, Aerosmith, people like that. Lenny Kravitz. And I'm going to the Aerosmith concert. He calls her. We're driving in the car, and he says, Lenny Kravitz isn't coming tonight because he's sick. And she goes, Twinkle, do it. And they put me into the production office underneath the stadium. And when a concert like that's happening, there's computers everywhere underneath, people milling around. There's so many people involved with that, right? And they said, well, what do you need? We got a piano and a microphone. And I'm like, I would love my band or any band. Cheap Trick was back there. Let's jam,
Okay.
And nobody would do it.
No.
See, I'm getting all geeky right now because she just casually, and I'm sure it wasn't casual because at the time.
No,
you were like,
my mind.
Oh, Cheap Trick was back there, and then over here, was
Aerosmith.
Aerosmith, and Steven Tyler came up and asked for a glass of water.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, sure.
It's ridiculous. If you wrote all these stories in a row in a book, people would be like, "There's no way." I've had so many of no ways.
Have you thought of doing that though? I know. I just
do. Yeah.
I just dog-legged for a second.
I keep waiting to write the memoir for the happy ending. Like I want, the end of the movie to be. And then she was super famous, and everything was good. But I think it's just as a story. I'm a big fan of stories, and I love cinema, and I love the magic of life, and I love interviewing people too because you just don't know what's behind that face.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody has lived extraordinary things. And you have no idea because everybody looks like people, and then you start listening to their stories and you're like, what?
That is so funny you mentioned that too. Just the reason why we do this podcast too is because it is about the people downtown walking around here. And, we're lucky to have people like yourself come and interview. We will book some people and talk to them. But primarily it's about everyone walking around.
That's cool.
It's so interesting to have somebody walk and just sit down, take a mic, and we're just thinking we're just going to talk to them about, how long you've been here, and they happen to be, here for a couple of days before they go on tour.
Yeah.
They're a classic pianist,
right?
And they're going to
France. Or they
France.
Invented spaceships.
Or they're a NASA astronaut retired.
Yes.
Or
it's
just
crazy.
ridiculous people's stories. So my whole thing is, and Scott, so sick of hearing me say this, but if the streets of Sarasota could talk, what would they say? Well, they do talk. It's you. It's the people who are in front of Gator. It's the people at Tweeds. It's all these people have stories.
Yes.
And we're just so excited, kind of just recording. The streets do talk.
I love that.
We record it.
And Sarasota has been the source of so much for me. Growing up here, I had a friend say, you have to come see this guitar player. And he took me, I was 17, I think. And we go to this place called the Village Inn or something. It was over there by the movie theater that no longer exists over in Southgate. And I walk in, it's the Instigators playing. And there's Richie Kicklighter, and he blew my mind. I couldn't believe that this level of talent and innovation was in my hometown, and he's just my favorite guitar player of all time, and he ended up being my guitar player for many years. We played, and he had me on all his records and stuff. But there's so many stories like that. There's just so many people that live here that are intelligent, that have done things that are incredible. People are but another one I was going to mention, they just pop in like this.
Right.
But
Go with it.
Rick Derringer. So I'm over at his house for something.
This is just at Rick Derringer's house. I'm just Rick's house.
I know, and it sounds ridiculous.
No, it's fantastic.
But I'm
awesome,
over there.
man.
I don't remember why we were there, but there was a group of people. Maybe it was a party. I don't know. And it's many, many years ago, maybe 25 years ago. And we're walking around. He says, let me give you the tour. So he's giving everybody the tour of his house. And in the studio room where there's a grand piano and there's posters and, he produced Cyndi Lauper, so there's that, and Weird Al Yankovic. And then there's Rick Derringer's poster when he was young playing. And it dawned on me. I was like, oh my God, you're Rick Derringer. And he's like, yes, I am, because I had that picture. I had my Tiger Beat magazine. I had Rick Derringer on my wall, and he lives here.
That's right.
He lives here, and he knows my name. And I called him 3 months ago because I heard Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo on the radio, and I was I was like, oh my God, why am I not doing this song? I want to cover it, because in it he talks about the Jokers, which is Dickie Betts' band back in the day. You know, it's like all this circle.
Yeah, I know.
And so I call his number that I have in my phone, and he goes, "Hi, Twink, it's been a long time." I was like, what? And I said, can I record your song? And you don't have to ask permission, but I like to, because I don't usually do covers on my albums, but you want to know. And he said, absolutely. So it was just cool, but I'm like, how do you, it's in a series like that, it's just crazy. It's been a wonderful life.
Now, do you have to? You just mentioned it. You don't have to ask for doing covers.
I don't think so.
Is there?
That's kind of like us putting these. That's like us putting these tents on the sidewalk. We don't know if we're allowed to
until I get the cease and desist.
We don't know. Yep, we haven't gotten that yet.
I don't think we need permission.
That's why we have Kyle, the mayor, on every 3 weeks
to check in. How we doing?
It's our insurance policy.
We're still okay, right? We're still okay.
Yes.
I don't think we need
make friends with the mayor. You can pretty much.
I don't think we need you want permit to be
can
here.
You edit that out? Edit that out.
10 by 10 tent. I'm not sure. I love that. I love that. So, but I digressed a little bit though. But you were talking about the book and like you were waiting for the end to finish it or something.
Yeah.
But I'm a big proponent of the journey.
Yes.
You know, because it's, to me, your journey is incredible. I mean, there's so many stories you've got, so many things that you could write now. That and I'm not saying obviously.
No, I think about it a lot, and I think you're right. I've come to that. I think.
Yeah.
I think the story itself.
You've got your own vision of what you think it should be, but could it be a journal? Could it be like an ongoing story?
I think it
probably?
should be episode 1, and then the next 50 years. Right. My brother did it, actually. He's got his book out on the notes and Facebook, and I'm like, you need to submit this, because he found us. We're about the same age. He's like 9 months older than me, and we have the same dad, Buddy Yochim, which there's a song about Dad on the album, The Ballad of Buddy Yochim, because he's an extraordinary, charismatic individual. And I remember being little, and people just had to be near him. He just had this thing. I know what charisma means because of my father, and he was funny, and just anything that you could do to be cool. Like he dealt out, and he grew up moonshining with his father and his brother, and then they're smuggling pot and everything back in the day in Florida, and touring with Charlie Daniels and the Allman Brothers and shipping, and in all the cases there's, so Florida owes a lot to these guys because it really influx of money back then, and Square Grouper and stuff. But he was a pilot in the 101st Airborne, and he was just this extraordinary person, and I was in love with my dad since I was born, but I didn't get to see him as often as I wanted to. And then one day I get a call from him, and it was, I guess, 27 years ago. I was 27, so we're close to it. But he says, you have a brother, and he's coming over to meet us tonight. So be here at 8:30. So I was there by 9:30, and because I'm always late. And I walk in, and there's this guy that looks exactly like me and had also left home at 16 to join a band and be, we had the same drive, and that's Tony. And we were instantly like twins separated at birth. And I'm so glad that he found us when he did. He had to do all that research before internet. He just went to the New York Public Library because him and Lenny had conquered New York with their band, Big Bad Wolf. And they're in the documentary about the Lemoore Rock Club, and Lemoore Rocks is like the biggest rock club. All the Nationals played there, and there's all these bills with Big Bad Wolf on them and stuff. So those guys got the 80s metal era. They were part of that. They were in that. They know all those guys because everybody played together, and it was just like, to hear him tell the stories is incredible. But he wrote his book about everything, and chapter by chapter by chapter, it's extraordinary. I'm like, we got to get these out because they shouldn't languish in Facebook notes somewhere. Definitely get the stories out.
Yeah, I'll be right there to buy that book when it comes
Thank
out.
you.
I think that'd be an amazing book.
Thank you.
And it's kind of fun to hear the stories right now that maybe find the pages in the book. Just like all these memories that you got right now, and
especially when you start talking about them, then more pop up, and you start thinking, because I couldn't list 3 songs I know, but when you start talking, it starts to click. And if you put people together and they have the same memories, then they start to spark each other. And that's one thing. I have a lot of people that I would like to sit down and go, what happened here, because I don't really remember. So like Barbara Strauss, she went with me, and she remembers a lot. And Tony remembers a lot. People remember better than I do.
So when I said, we've been talking about Twinkle. Finally I said, I think she's going to come on. And I sent him a text message, 11 till 4. Right? I mean, you're not here till 4. But I said from 11 a.m. till 4 p.m.
Oh, no.
I could talk to her for 5 hours with no problem.
Yeah.
You know?
Nice.
So that's what I said.
That's really nice.
Yeah, so because I know you could probably have tons of stories, and
I'm glad you're here.
We could listen to this all day.
That's what
that's nice.
No, seriously.
I'm just fearful of rambling. I do
No,
that.
do
I
not.
tend
Do
to
that.
ramble.
No, and in fact, I'm trying myself not to go off on tangents and
Right.
ramble too, because you've got the better stories.
Oh yeah.
Mine are just like.
I met
Look
nobody.
at Charlie Brown's mom.
I met nobody.
I met the only person I probably got close to was at a small venue in Evanston, Illinois, Space, and it was Max Weinberg. And I was with my girlfriend at the time, and neither of us had our phones with us. And I'm like, I didn't even get a picture with Max Weinberg.
Oh my god!
But I have one with you, which is way better.
Aw. That's like when Dad used to tell his stories. Part of my inspiration for wanting to interview people was I never interviewed my dad on tape. And he just had he knew everybody. He had been everywhere. And, it was just crazy. So you have this barefoot Cajun kid that grew up poverty-stricken, and they end up in Florida and touring with the Allman Brothers and, Japan, and they're everywhere. And after the war and stuff. And you're just thinking, man, people live these lives, and I want to capture all of it. I think it should all be on tape because it's just, that's real life. And I love cinema. I love watching it. But I'm like, if you saw some of these stories that are real on the screen, people wouldn't even believe it. It's too, or a lot of people have come up to me and gone, why are you here? Why aren't you whatever? And I'm like, the industry is weird, but they're like, it's who you know. I'm like, I know everybody. It's not who you know.
You're wrong.
I do know everybody.
I'm on the side of the fence. You don't know.
Yeah. So talk for one more minute, but then I want to interrupt because this is, I'm going to interrupt right now.
Too late.
So when we were going to put the thing
Scott.
on Facebook about you, and we just needed a little bit, not too much, I just Googled, right? And Django came up, which I guess is Django.com. Is that music? I think it must be maybe all about music, but just,
Oh, some of the reviews?
some of these
read
quotes
some
are
of the quotes.
insane. Well, I'll skip to that then. I won't start.
Yeah, no, go right to
But
the
a lot of
quotes.
it is about the people who, like you've been mentioning, all the names here I've already talked about. All
Okay.
these names are all in there, and who they produced and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, read
cool
what they
stuff.
said.
And then let's just get to the quotes. A voice so hot she can sing the ice off of a polar cap.
Nice.
Who said that?
Miami New Times, Greg Baker. These are just magazines. She sings the verse, I get down on my knees and pray with so much authentic, been there soul that you are convinced God has paused to listen.
Oh,
Get out of here, right?
Right.
I'm like reading this stuff, and I'm like, I
damn.
wanted to put all this on Facebook, but I'm like, I can't fit. We couldn't fit it all. There's this,
wow. That makes me cry. That's
you
cool.
could tune up to that girl.
Oh,
The
I
late
remember
Jerry
that guy.
Jerome. Jerry Jerome.
Yeah,
said
he was
that?
a horn player, and a lot of New York horn players moved here when they retired and they got elderly, and they would come down. And there's a very thriving jazz community down here, and they kept playing, and I would go sing with them at like the Van Weasel or wherever.
Yeah.
And I remember him; he was cool.
And there's a couple more on there.
One
isn't
more.
there?
And then the other part is So she sings like a young Aretha Franklin with the passion of Janis Joplin.
I like
I don't know who
that.
said that. They didn't tell
That's
you. They didn't tell you.
nice.
And then they go on to say you performed Little Wing with Paul Rogers and Bad Company at the 04 Tacoma, Washington.
And there's that one right there. It says, "I love her," and that's Scott Maloof.
No.
And that's from that was one.
No.
And that was published last year, right?
No, January when I saw her at your place. No. I'm like,
No,
she's
it's
awesome. She's
No,
awesome.
That's
you're
so
fantastic, and the fact
cool,
that you're
thank
taking
you.
the time to come and talk to us, and you're so busy, and you got other stuff. Oh,
What's
thank you
that?
so. This is Mr. Beaver Shriver.
Hi.
Beaver Shriver.
Beaver Shriver. Oh, and
Hi.
he
Twinkle?
owns
How
Twinkle.
are you?
Yep, and Beaver Shriver. He owns the Rise Cafe,
Nice.
right down here on State Street.
Oh, look
Rise
at that.
Up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Rise Up Cafe.
What a great idea.
Oh, thank
that
you
a sticker?
so much.
Yeah.
What is? Oh,
Wear it.
this here. Is it okay if we give this to our guest?
Yes, please
Here.
do.
Oh,
Give
There
that
you
to our
go.
guest.
So good. They serve that ice cream, custom ice cream,
Beignets.
and this is made fresh every day.
Coffee.
Coffee that you would die for. This stuff is amazing.
And it's a nonprofit
nonprofit organization.
Nonprofit organization.
Thank you so much. What's the nonprofit?
Inclusion
know what?
Revolution.
Give
Why
us a
don't you
second.
I really
sit
love
for a
that.
sec?
Mhm.
So
Come here.
I'm going to do something so I don't forget. All
Oh my
right.
God, that's good.
I'm
Thank
going to
you.
do something so I don't forget. I got something here for you.
Sharesies.
That Yeah, how are we going to do this?
you
That
for
camera's actually, so
So-
that's on us there.
So I'm going to do this real quick.
Okay.
Because I'm
do
going
it.
to forget and she's going to leave. And
No,
so
no,
I bought this shirt and I wore it once and it was too small. But I've been keeping it because it's
Okay.
something I just wanted to have, right?
Okay.
And so I found it today. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give it to you. I'll let you
Thank
open it up and
you.
look at it.
I love
But I was like,
t-shirts.
but I'm like,
We're gonna
what?
turn
Do I have
this
a music?
to
Do I have anything with a
after.
music on it?
Oh,
You know?
that's
And that's the only
awesome.
one I had. But I probably moved a bunch of times.
WXRT.
Which is a
Chicago
show.
Blues Fest 2014.
And then the
That's
back has a
killer.
quote on the back. It's kind of cool. So anyways,
I live
I'm
the
like,
life I love, and I love the life I live. It's so true.
anyways,
I love
That's
that.
yours. There you go.
That's awesome.
But I mean, I've
That's
moved
Scott
like
to you.
7 times. I've moved like 7 times, but I keep
Thank
taking it with
you.
me, and it does not fit me. But
Well,
I'm
it'll
glad I
be-
could use that today.
I'll keep it forever.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
And I have a gift as well. I have a
Oh.
parting gift as well.
Okay.
So,
She's not parting.
huh?
She's not
Well,
parting.
party. Well, party. We're leaving.
I
our
just didn't wanna
table.
forget.
Hopefully,
No,
That's
Yeah.
so
no,
nice.
it's not.
hopefully
Thank
you'll come
you.
back and talk anytime.
I would
and all
love
that,
to.
But so,
And stay
a friend of
and
ours.
stay for
Yeah.
beavers.
Yeah, so a friend of ours has a massage. I keep saying parlor. It's not a
Salon?
parlor. It's not a
Salon?
massage parlor.
That's a different
salon.
business.
That's a different. That's a different show. That's a different show.
Yes.
No, but a salon right here on Palm,
Okay.
and she gives fantastic hour-long massages, and we want you to have this. Her
Really?
yes.
Thank
Yes, her
you.
name is Jill Blackstone.
That's so nice.
And,
I love it.
And right down here, and just please tell them Scott and Mark sent you, and
I will.
It's going to be
That's
very
amazing.
calming.
Thank
and
you.
It's so good.
I have
And I have koozies for the band. I got to let before she leaves. But let's